Quarterfinals day in Paris was really a mixed bag. There were two really entertaining matches and then two duds. I'll break all four of those matches down and look ahead to tomorrow's semifinals and discuss the iconic WTA Finals portrait photo shoot, which caused quite the discourse. Bonjour, je m'appelle Christian Bassnight, and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you have not yet already, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so when you're notified whenever I post more Paris/Riyadh content. So yes, the highly anticipated WTA Finals photo shoot finally dropped, and it caused quite a bit of a discussion on Twitter, especially. So the photo was taken at the Auger-Aliassime resort, and one of my mutuals said that it looked like all the players wore Ross dresses, but I do think they look nice. I think all these women here look nice. I don't think it was anything like, whoa, wow, but I mean, everyone turns into fashion critics whenever this photo shoot runs around. So I think in and of itself, it's good to have this because it does cause quite a bit of buzz, or at least a little bit of buzz, in drawing it to the finals itself. I think Aryna Sabalenka, she kind of gave head mistress with her fit. It was from Alberto Ferretti. Coco Gauff, she wore a custom Miu Miu dress. Again, I like all these looks, but if I were to pick a few favorites, I'd say Elena Rybakina's look. Jessica Pegula also looked nice, and then Coco as well. For the double side, I think Dana Schneider, Katerina Siniakova, especially Elisa Mertens, Veronika Kudermetova, and Asia Muhammad were some of my favorite looks. Now, many of the fans weren't impressed. They said that it gave more Real Housewives of Riyadh, and I had a problem first with there not being a trophy in the official photo. It just didn't make sense. Like, why was there no trophy to really tie it together? And then also the positioning of the players, it's a little bit awkward. I always say, and I believe that they should have the top two seeds side by side, like on either side or each side of the trophy, but there's no trophy to do that here for the photos. And I also said this in my TikTok/IG reel, but I think the WTA strategy of again, using the photo shoot as a promotional tool, it could have been better. I think they kind of shot themselves in their own foot. They tried to do this thing like they did last year of keeping the actual photo shoot under wraps, like it's some big reveal. They don't, seemingly they don't allow the players to post any behind the scenes or any of their own pictures until that official photo shoot drops. And I think they're really just not fully capitalizing on having these players dressed up like they do. And they used to be more pomp and circumstances around whenever they had this official like portrait photo shoot. It was much more media presence, and they even had the players talk a little bit. And the ATP, I think, does a great job of this, of them having actual events and having more fan engagement when it's time to take their official photo. But even aside from the photo shoot itself, there have been a lot of complaints about the coverage of the finals from the WTA, and a lot of people say that it's not being marketed and promoted enough, and I agree. I think the tour, for this to be their big event, they need to be doing better. And it's been an issue for the last few years, to be honest. But even last year, thinking back, the players had their individual photos come out. But this year, they just dropped the official photo, a few behind the scenes pictures and videos on IG stories and a few reels, and called it a day. And another thing, today was media day. We got like no videos from the press conferences on the official WTA pages, no quotes, nothing. Like, where's the news and the media? Like, what's going on? It's frustrating because I know if I were in Riyadh, I would help get this stuff out, but still the tour has to do something themselves. Like, where's the media? All I'm seeing are some silly TikTok stuff from like the Tennis Channel. What's going on? What's going on? Now, if I were working for the WTA, I would have a draw reveal with all the players dressed up as they were. Then I would have some of the media ask them a few questions, maybe on a panel, or even if that's too much, because I understand that maybe the draw needs to come out before the players get all dressed up, because I think the ATP also has a separate draw ceremony without all the players dressed up, and then they have their own, media day with the players dressed up. And if that's the case, at least live stream the draw ceremony. If to my knowledge, it wasn't live streamed. They just came out with it, and it just really wasn't it wasn't a spectacle at all, as it really should have been for this to be the WTA Finals. I also believe there needs to be more media covering the players dressed up, like actually live in the moment. I think the tour could maybe make this the official media day. I understand maybe the players might not want to be dressed up and doing media day for that long. So if that's the case, they can just do something minimal, but have something media related while they're all dressed up, like in the moment, and then have a separate media day as they already do now. And then also, I think what they could have done, they could have flew some Vogue people out there, and they could have had a Vogue behind the scenes get ready with me, like how they do for the Met Gala. That could have been big. If not Vogue, maybe they can afford Vogue, maybe some smaller thing like Elle or Allure magazine, something. But again, another big missed opportunity. Initially, I was like, what's the point of having this photo shoot if all you're going to do is have the players dress up and just take a picture and make some TikToks and that's it? I agree with myself in that point, but I do believe having them dressed up, it is important, as Coco Gauff said, to just have a moment of where they do their big ones and just look nice. But my whole point and argument is that if you're going to have them doing that, take advantage of it. But focusing on the actual tennis going on at the finals, the first few matches start from the Serena Williams group, and Iga Swiatek will open play against Madison Keys, while Amanda Anisimova will take on Elena Rybakina. And then on the WTA Finals aspect of things, in Hong Kong, the semifinals are set, and Maya Joint takes on Christina Buksha, while another teenager, Victoria Mboko, takes on fellow Canadian Leila Fernandez. Now on to the ATP in Paris. The semifinals are set, and Felix Auger-Aliassime was the first man to punch his ticket. He ended Valentin Vachereau's 10-match Masters 1000 win streak when he defeated the man from Monaco 6-2, 6-2. The first game of the match was really the most important game of the match. It was a 12-minute game where Valentin had 6 game points to hold, but Felix ultimately got the break. And I think that really took a lot of the wind out of Vachereau's sails, while it only boosted FAA's confidence. Felix, I think, just played the perfect match. And to me, this showed just the potential he has to be a slam champion. His return was on point. He read the serve so well, and he got it right back on Vachereau with interest, even with Felix's backhand return, which can be prone to being pretty shaky at times. But also, Felix's backhand from the ground was sharp and solid, and he did a good job of both using it to pressure Vachereau's backhand, but also using the slice to kind of change things up and give Valentin a different look and keep him at bay from attacking. Also, Felix's favorite shot, his forehand, was on fire today. Valentin honestly couldn't really handle the pace at times, and even Vachereau said in his post-match press conference that he struggled with the reaction time and just he's struggling to deal with FAA's pace from the forehand wing. Felix also showcased just superb athleticism, and he got back so many balls where you think that he had no business retrieving, and he won quite a few points from him just getting that extra ball back in play. And the stats just say it all. The Canadian finished with 22 winners to just 10 unforced errors, while Vachereau finished with 11 winners to 20 unforced errors. And then also FAA put on a serving masterclass. Felix only lost 6 points total on serve, and he set himself up well with quality first serves, and he also had a 69% first serve in percentage rate, which went a long way for him. And the serve is a big reason of why FAA is so successful indoors. And he said himself after the match that he finds his best efficiency indoors with his serve, and that he can be more consistent, he feels, with the serve. This marks Felix's 10th semifinal of the season, and it's the second most semifinals of a man this year behind Carlos Alcaraz, and he now will seek his second 1,000 final when he takes on Alexander Bublik, who reached his first 1,000 semifinal after scoring a tight 6-7, 6-4, 7-5 victory over Aussie Alex de Minaur. This one wasn't as sharp and straightforward, of course, of a performance from Bublik compared to the Fritz match. He finished here with 44 winners to 54 unforced errors. And it does make sense that he had a little bit more of a struggle because de Minaur just makes you play a lot more balls, especially compared to Fritz. Alexander's first serve was his single most important shot out there. He won 62 out of 70 first serve points. And in contrast, he won just 32% of his second serve points. Despite that low second serve success rate, Bublik remained unbroken throughout this entire match. Looking ahead to this Auger-Aliassime Bublik matchup, Felix leads the head-to-head 3-2, and 4 of their 5 matches came on the hard court, and FAA won their last meeting, which was at the Dubai Championships this year, by a score of 7-6, 6-7, 6-3. FAA, I mean, both guys are in great form right now, Felix especially after this dominant Vachereau win, but I do believe that Bublik presents the Canadian a tougher challenge that he may have not seen yet this tournament. Felix wasn't as pressured by Vachereau from the ground, as Valentin's forehand does not have the same sting as Bublik's does. And also, Alexander's drop shots and craftiness overall could give the Canadian issues, as it did a little bit in Dubai. FAA also has been playing well ever since losing the first set in his round of 16 match against Daniel Altmaier, and he really seems like a man on a mission. But the question is, can he sustain that high level, especially after playing a near flawless match against Vachereau in the semifinals against Bublik? It's going to be a tough ask, in my opinion. There's a lot on the line for both these guys here, so I think nerves will eventually play a role too. Bublik, he could close in on the top 10 with this win. I mean, he won't be top 10, but he'll get close. And this will be his biggest ever final if he were to win. It will be his first 1,000 final. Felix, meanwhile, he has been in this position before, and he's been in a 1,000 final before in Madrid last year. But maybe there's still more on the line for the Canadian, because if he wins this match, he will surpass Lorenzo Musetti for the 8th spot in the live ATP race to Turin. It's a tough one for me to call. I went back and forth so many times. I don't know. Initially, I went with Bublik because I felt like this really could be his time, but I just can't go against Felix twice in a row, man. I think that this too might be his time, and he seems focused and really on that mission to get to the ATP Finals. Bublik very nearly won that match in Dubai, but I think with this being indoors, and of course Felix loves the indoor conditions, Bublik does too, but I think the indoors might give Felix that extra boost in this one. So I'm going to be having the Canadian come through to make the final. Looking at the last 2 quarterfinals we had in Paris, Jannik Sinner and Ben Shelton, that was the one I was looking forward to probably the most, but it definitely did not live up to the hype as Sinner swept aside Shelton 6-3, 6-3. I did have Shelton win this match, I know, but can I have an edgy feeling? Come on now. The reason why I picked Shelton is because, first of all, I thought he was in great form. Yes, again, Andrei Rublev is no Jannik Sinner, but Shelton still played an excellent match regardless in that round of 16 match. And then also, too, there were some health concerns, it seemed like, with Jannik, as he was having back and hand issues, and overall he wasn't feeling well. He maybe was under the weather, like illness-wise. And Sinner did look a little bit out of it early on. He was kind of hunched over when he was down 1-2 love 15, but after that point, he just went on a tear. He held serve and then broke immediately. And in my last video, I talked about whether the slower courts would help Shelton, because Ben talked about how it was hard for him to adjust to the pace of shot from Sinner, from the ground, and on serve. But the slow courts really did not help Shelton's case at all. And I think that Ben really didn't have the best strategy here. He wasn't winning as many free points or easy points behind his serve. He made the interesting decision to keep going body, which wasn't working as well. And then also he just double faulted at crucial parts in the first set. And also Ben's net approaches did not work well really at all. Jannik had ample time to pull off incredible passing shots like this, and Sinner just seemed in total control too whenever they had longer rallies, and Shelton's backhand just wasn't really doing him any favors. I think that his backhand placement was way too predictable. Oftentimes the American directed way too many balls to Jannik's forehand and to the middle of the court, and Sinner just had him running ragged, and Jannik was not afraid to pull the trigger and go up the line, and that was the perfect play from the Italian. This was disappointing for sure, and it makes me look bad too, because I had Shelton win the match, yet this was his worst ever loss to Jannik. This result also breaks the streak of there being at least one tiebreak set in all their matches. So I don't know. There were reports from Paul Annacone that there were rumors of Shelton having food poisoning possibly, but I don't really think that's a valid excuse. I honestly think that it was just a poor match from him, and Sinner was too much for him, simple as that. And Shelton, he now falls to 0-14 against top 3 players. That's a record that has got to improve if he wants to make that next step. But I know I've been a little bit negative. Still a positive tournament for Shelton. His best tournament by far since his injury, his shoulder injury, and he at least qualified for the finals. So that'll be exciting for him to move on in Turin, and maybe he can get some more top 10 wins there. But focusing on Sinner, he is now 2 wins away from regaining the world #1 ranking. He does need to get by Alexander Zverev first in the semifinals. Zverev, he broke his 5-match losing streak to arch rival Dino Medvedev. He won that match 2-6, 6-3, 7-6. This was a roller coaster match. I mean, it was just, oh my gosh, Zverev, he fell in the first set, and I thought that he may be in serious trouble, but he got back up, he was okay, and then it was just really a back and forth tussle of both players really having parts where they were just being too passive, and then they were able to step it up and dictate. Really, neither man played that well, being honest. I wasn't impressed by the quality of play. Maybe it has something to do with the slower court conditions. Overall, I haven't been that impressed with the level in Paris. Last year in Paris was much more entertaining to me when things were faster, but alas, the match was on Dino's racket. He had 2 match points. The first one was just too good, a strong serve from Zverev. But the second one was a big missed opportunity, I feel, because Zverev, he had a really slow second serve that I think maybe caught Dino off guard. But instead of directing that return to the Zverev forehand, he got it back in the middle of the court, and that allowed Zverev to step up with his backhand and take control of the point. Medvedev did have a small shot too at making the finals if he were to win this tournament, but now his season is over. I think overall, definitely not his best season. He'll be especially disappointed in his quarterfinal record. He is 6-7 in quarterfinals this year, but he did have a positive finish. He finished much stronger, so I think he finished his season better than how he finished it last year. Even though he made the finals, it was a bad finish for him last year. Now, talking about Sinner and Zverev really quickly, the head-to-head is now tied up for a piece, and these two just met in the Vienna final where Sinner won at 7-5 in the third set. I think that Zverev is going to have to play at the same level, if not higher, if he wants a shot. And to do that, I think he's going to have to still be aggressive from the ground and still try to come forward as much as possible. It's going to be a tough ask, though. I think in Vienna, it actually served him better with the faster courts, that play of being a little bit more aggressive and coming forward. But as we saw with the Shelton match, if you're going to come against the king, you best not miss, because the passing shots that Sinner was pulling off against Shelton were incredible. So I don't know. I do think that maybe Zverev can take solace in that if he can drag it out, maybe Sinner might not be able to withstand it if things do go the distance. But I think that still Sinner's going to be a little bit too tough here, so I'm going to be having Jannik come through to make the final. That is all I have for this update video. Let me know your personal thoughts on the WTA Finals photo shoot. Of course, comment below who you think had the best looks, and yeah, give me your thoughts overall on how you think the WTA is promoting itself, and then also give your own predictions for the upcoming semifinals in Paris. Again, thanks so much for watching and for your support, and I will see you all next time here on Christian's Court.